Hello there, everybody. Hello, Susan. How are you? So good to see you all.
Hey, hey,
Welcome again. It's Tuesday.
it's Tuesday,
Good
and we
time.
are delighted you're here. And we're going to rock and roll. We're going to rock and roll, talking about love and luggage, or love
Yes,
and
yes, yes,
baggage.
yes.
Though, for those of you that haven't met us, I'm Dr. Don. I'm a therapist and relationship coach, and I've been doing helping people for almost 30 years now. And how about you?
Well, I am Damaris, and it's such a pleasure to be here with you all. I am a health coach and a mind and body healing expert. I'm so excited to be here with you, sharing this journey with you and getting to know you and getting to experience the experience, actually. So I love that so much. Welcome, everybody. Happy Tuesday. I hope everybody is doing fantastic. And I invite you actually from now to love yourself more than ever.
Absolutely.
One of my mantras.
That's one of Marisa's mantras. Um, Feel free to jot notes as we talk here, but you don't have to jot notes because this is recorded and is going to be posted in the Skool community tomorrow. And so you are able to watch it at your leisure, if you come in late or if you have to leave early. Speaking of leaving early,
Yeah, I will have to step out a little earlier today. I have a very important meeting that I have to go to, so I have to kind of rush a little bit here, but you'll still be in super good hands.
fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. All right, we're gonna dig right into it. People are joining as we talk. Love and luggage. Um, have you noticed in your relationship that um, you have like it's almost like a Spotify playlist of
Mm.
of of arguments and discussions. It's like a short list of topics that you and your partner just seem to get into again and again, and it gets
Mm.
boring because, well, we haven't we already had this argument? How
I
come we're
know.
having this argument again? Uh, Whether it's 5 times or 10 times or 100 times. And what I've heard from people through the years helping people with their relationships is that it's two things. One is that fight is the actual topic of the fight is really not important.
Mm.
Usually, sometimes it is, but oftentimes the actual topic, when the smoke clears and the dust settles, it's like, why were we fighting about that? In fact, I've had this experience in the counseling office countless times, actually, where a couple comes in and they had a spat this week, and there's hurt feelings. And I asked them, so, like, what was the fight about? And they look at each other and they go, um, I can't remember.
Mm.
I know I still have hurt feelings, but I can't remember what the fight was about. So we're going to dig into that dynamic uh, this afternoon, and we're going to explore why that happens. And to give you a teaser about that, what it's about is that both of you, just, I'm going to be fair here, both of you likely are carrying unhealed wounds, unhealed scrapes and bumps and bruises from the past that are still kind of, not to be too graphic, festering.
Mm.
And so when your husband says that thing or has that look on his face or has that tone,
Mm.
yeah, he's being a jerk, make no mistake, but it's activating the old wound.
Mhm.
It's activating the old wound. And and so the topic of the fight is not really important, but the emotional tsunami that gets stirred up inside you, gets stirred up inside your spouse, that's the problem.
Mhm.
That's the problem. So uh, We're going to explore how the weight of these old wounds that by this stage in life, we're all carrying them,
Absolutely.
disrupt what could be a good marriage and disrupts what could be closeness and joy in the relationship. So let's talk about luggage.
That is a very big topic, huh?
It's a big topic. There's like extra fees at the airport if you want to, check a bag, and if the luggage is over 50 pounds, there's an extra premium fee on top of that.
Hmm.
See, the airlines know what they're doing. So what does it look like? It's uh, being snapped at by your husband when you ask an innocent question or make an innocent request. Or maybe it's you snapping when he says something that just kind of hits you the wrong way. Maybe it's the tone, maybe it's the words. Maybe the luggage is actually not a snap, not a spike of anger, but maybe it's actually a pulling away.
Hmm.
Like my spouse said that thing and used that tone, and I just don't want to be around anymore.
Hmm.
And so I'm reacting by moving away. So, um, so if you feel inclined, put in the chat. Um, when if you recognize yourself being triggered by something that is from the past, getting triggered in the present, just put in the chat, yeah, that's me. Or if you recognize, you and your husband are having an innocent conversation and you recognize he gets triggered,
Hmm.
put in the chat, yeah, that's him. No details, no details, right? But it happens. It happens. And the best picture of this, um, here's the best picture. Think of you're out on the patio on a warm summer day, and you have a glass and you have a can of Coke, and you didn't have time to put the can of Coke in the fridge, but you open the can and you pour the can of Coke into the glass, and what do you get? You get about this much Coke in the bottom of the glass, and you get about this much foam,
Hmm.
right? So disappointing. Even worse if it's a cerveza. I'm just saying. So, so, so that picture, this much Coke, this much foam, is a picture. It's a measure of our reactivity,
Hmm.
right? Your husband said something dumb and stupid, and so there's this much legitimate response inside you because he said something dumb and stupid. But the foam is like, where did that come from? The foam is baggage. So why is this? What happens is this is the way our brain stores memory, particularly bothersome memory, right? A pleasant memory or a neutral memory, we actually forget most of the content of the memory. It
Hmm.
gets swept away when we are sleeping a good sleep at night. Our brain the term is it reprocesses information and it deletes most of the information and holds on to just symbolic portions
Hmm.
of the event. And so when we remember the event, if it's a pleasant or neutral event, we kind of go, yeah, last year we went to Disney World and it was hot and there was a ride and I don't know. And then the rest of what we talk about is actually made up.
Hmm.
It's actually confabulated is the word. So that's the story with memory if it's a neutral thing. If it's a painful thing, suppose uh, my ex-wife 10 years ago um, rejected me or said something mean or something judgmental and hurt my feelings. That memory, it stays vivid
Mm.
unless I heal. It stays vivid. And so time means nothing, whether it's a week, whether it's 10 years, or whether it's an event from my childhood.
Mm.
Time, it's like time has not gone by. And then Damaris innocently says something like, I would really appreciate if you picked up your socks from the floor. And pow, that old memory has been reactivated inside me. The foam, the foam is happening. It's
Mm.
so the yeah, I'm a little offended by Damaris's words, but I'm feeling the foam from years ago, and I'm reacting on the basis of the foam from years ago. And that's totally not fair. That's and that's what you guys are living.
Mm.
I don't leave my socks on the floor. I just want to say that super clear in my defense. But
Yeah, you're right. He's right.
there you go. I have a witness. But
Mm.
that's what you guys are experiencing, right? Because you guys are in extremely difficult marriages with a guy that has some narcissist traits and tendencies. And so you're saying something super innocent like, "Hey, would you mind picking up milk on the way home from the from work after work?" And what you get is like this, whoa, this tsunami of like where did that come from? Where did
Mm.
that come from? It's not fair. It's
Mm.
not fair.
Mm.
We need to say that. It's not fair, but it is what happens. Because the brain doesn't put those things to rest automatically. The brain holds on to them because the brain is it has a survival mechanism that kicks into gear when we feel threat. And so that hurt from 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, ooh, don't forget that because we need to be on guard in case something like that happens again so we can defend and protect against it,
Mm.
right? So this is a survival response. Our brain, our nervous system, frankly, is saying we can't afford to forget.
Mm.
And that is baggage. That is baggage. That is luggage. And it's destroying your marriage. Unhealed baggage destroys the marriage.
Mhm, mhm.
So you probably and pop in the chat. This is me. If this is you, uh, you're maybe you're in the middle of a conflict with your spouse, and you are um, you. I lost my train of thought. You're in the middle of a conflict, and you're asking yourself, why am I reacting? This is not a big deal.
Mm.
Why can't I just let it go? Or you're watching him, and you're saying exactly the same thing about him. Why is he reacting like this? I just asked him to pick up milk. Like, chances are you're you're experiencing the foam in the glass of Coke. The reaction, my language for it is your reaction is a historical museum piece from the past.
Mm.
It's like I grew up in a city that was a an ancient meeting ground for First Nations people, and so there's archaeological digs going on around the city, and they're digging up like flint arrowheads from 300 years ago. But you know what? If you're walking across the grass and you step on one of those, the pain is very, very current, right? And so that's what's going on in your relationship. You're getting hurt by something that is active in the present, but it really belongs in the past. And it's totally destructive. I already said that, need to say it again. So I'm going to complicate things a little bit. We need to go a little bit deeper because I want you guys to leave this conversation understanding that you're not crazy.
Mm.
There's good, solid reason for why things get off track so easily, so quickly. And I want you to know that there's there's ways to get things back on track. I'm just going to remind you. I know we've met some of you on in our work or in a 15-minute call. but I want to uh, remind you that we would love to meet with you on the phone in a just in a 15-minute quick start call to see so we can have a chance to hear your situation and you have a chance to hear if we can help you sort out the baggage, check the baggage, and get rid of the baggage once and for all. But I said I was going to complicate it, but actually I want to help you know you're not crazy, you're not insane, you're not imagining things, you're not um, too sensitive. Oh my word, like
Oh God, we hear that so much.
so much. You're not too sensitive. You're not too sensitive. I
Mm-mm-mm.
promise. I promise. So the way to think of it is that in your marriage, you think you're married to your partner, and so it's a marriage of two people. And I don't want to get weird here, but the marriage contains six people. Let me explain before you freak out. You're married to your spouse. You were standing, before, God and maybe 200 witnesses on the day that you got married. Okay, that's straightforward. But your husband is still virtually living out his relationship with his dad and his relationship with his mom, for better or worse.
Mm.
Not for richer or for poorer, just for better or worse. So if your husband is the kind of guy that was trying to get his dad's approval, for example, I'm just making this up, and dad was one of those guys that just, it's never good enough, then your husband is married to you, but he's also kind of psychologically, emotionally, and maybe even spiritually oriented towards his dad, trying to get approval. And so that might show up in your husband acting out with perfectionism, acting out with workaholism, acting out with, intolerance of his own, just, never good enough. Nobody around me is ever good enough. Or your husband might be oriented emotionally, psychologically towards his mother and maybe trying to get mom's approval, uh, maybe feeling, let's see, how would that work? I'm just kind of thinking how that might be through. Um, just if mom was dysfunctional in any way, uh, an addiction of her own, a preoccupation of her own, these days, preoccupied on Facebook, then your husband may have left that family of origin and got into this marriage uh, with a insatiable thirsting for approval, affirmation, attention,
Mm.
trying to be enough, trying to get attention, needing to be attention, needing to get attention. And so this look in adulthood, this looks like that vulnerable narcissist, that covert narcissist that portrays himself as weak and vulnerable and broken and just kind of tugs for attention from you.
Mm.
No bueno. And it's not your fault. It's you're married to your husband, but your husband is still managing internally and unconsciously these other two relationships with his parents. And so far, it sounds like your husband is the problem and you are blameless and faultless. You're lovely and everything. But the other two people in the marriage that makes the total of six is your mom and your dad.
Mm.
Ah,
Big time.
we have to talk about that just to be fair, because inevitably you're also living out an unconscious relationship with your mom and your dad, even if they're passed away. We still do it. We still do it. My dad and my mom are both passed away, but like they're still in my head.
Mhm.
And fortunately, fortunately for Damaris, uh, I've done work along the way to put those voices to rest. So I love my parents, though they're passed away. I remember them fondly, but I'm not trying to win
Mm,
anything from dad or mom. And what that means is that makes me free
mm,
to connect. And my experience of Dominique's, just to pump her tires a little bit, is she's free to connect with me because she's done a lot of internal work along the way
mm,
to no longer be haunted by what she didn't get
mm.
from dad and mom. So if that makes sense, just jot in the chat. Yeah, Dawn, that makes sense. Or if it doesn't make sense, ask a question for clarification, by all means. Uh, the the kicker here is that the present relationship ends up getting sacrificed.
Mm,
It ends up getting sacrificed because what you want, and until I'm proven differently, I just believe what your husband wants and wanted on your wedding day is wanted connection,
mm.
intimacy, joy, happiness. You know, don't we all?
Yeah, yeah,
Right? Don't
absolutely.
we all? Right. So that was the aspiration on the wedding day. And what you're living these days is, yeah, what happened? Something's happened. The joy's been sacrificed, the happiness has been sacrificed, the partnership and the teammanship has been sacrificed. And as time goes on, as 5 years turns into 10 years, 10 years turns into 40 years,
Mm,
uh, we end up starting to think like, I guess this is normal.
mm,
I guess this is normal. I guess this is what marriage is like.
mm,
I heard the saddest thing a couple months ago now. I still have a psychotherapy practice over on the side here, but this is our main work because this is the work we feel really called uh, to today and into the future. But I was working with a guy roughly my age, and lots of difficulties in his marriage, in fact, separated and heading towards divorce. And I was sort of confronting him in a gentle way that, the, you deserve more, you should have more for yourself, a more life-giving relationship. And he said, I talked to my friends at my age, and all of us guys in our 50s and early 60s, it's roommates.
mm.
And like
What?
I know, I was like, dude, um, that's so sad. It doesn't have to be that way.
Mm,
And so if you take nothing else away from this conversation this afternoon, definitely take away um, the invitation to aspire for more
mm,
for yourself. Ideally, in the marriage that you're in. In some cases, it might not be in the marriage that you're in. It might be in a future relationship. But aspire to more. Aspire to more.
mm,
If you are acquainted with the Bible, then you know that you're called to life and life abundant
mm,
in the book of John. So imagine something different. Just imagine, in the privacy of your own mind, just imagine what if it could be different, it would be different.
mhm,
If if a conflict comes up, a disagreement comes up, and the conflict or disagreement stays on topic. So it stays on the agenda item. I asked you to bring milk home and you didn't bring milk home, and now we can't make milkshakes or something. Okay, there's a disagreement. And he says, well, I got tied up in traffic, blah, blah, blah. There's a disagreement. It's an important discussion, right? He said he would and then he didn't. So accountability is an important part of marriage. But wouldn't it be amazing if the conversation stayed on that topic? And wouldn't it be amazing if the conversation stayed with the level of emotion escalation that is appropriate for this problem. Like 1.5 out of 10 on the on the emotion escalation scale. Like it's just milk. I guess we don't have milkshakes tonight. Can you imagine what that would be like?
Mm.
Could you imagine what it would be like if your husband responded to you, not to his ghosts, not to the previous relationships that he's haunted by, so that he's not feeling, disproportionately accused. He's just saying, "Oh, geez, you know what? My bad. I'm sorry. Do you want me to whip out right now to the corner store and get milk?" Can you feel what that feels like? Can you imagine what that would be like? Maybe that's possible.
Mm. Absolutely.
Maybe that's possible. We've seen it. I mean, I've seen it time and time again in my therapy practice over almost 3 decades now. Uh, in that case, when couples, ideally when couples, but sometimes that's not possible, when couples roll up their sleeves and say, and go all in and say, you know what, we want our next years to be better than our past years. We've seen the past genuinely get put in the past. And in this work, in the Detox Your Marriage work that Dominic and I do together, same thing. We see couples able, because of the work of the wife, which is totally not fair, but because of the work of the wife, when she clears her baggage out,
Mm.
so she's non reactive, in most cases, there's a new wind blowing in the relationship, of a wind of calmness, of regulation instead of dysregulation,
Mm-hmm.
and connection. It becomes safe to talk about things. It becomes safe to have deeper conversations, not just about the milk, but about, hey, we're entering into our retirement years. What do you see us living out in this next season of life? We're finally empty nesters, and let's sit together and dream vulnerably about what it could be like. Let's talk about our hopes, dreams, and aspirations. We can do that if we feel safe.
Mm.
And we can only feel safe if the baggage gets checked. Let me know if that makes sense. Let me know if that sounds like science fiction, like a Star Trek episode, completely unreasonable, completely impossible. What, time travel? No way, man. We've seen it. We've seen it.
Yeah. And it's so sad, you know? It's very sad when we carry on so many baggage that we don't need. And the sad part is that we don't even know that we have all that baggage for years and years and years. And then after 20, 30, 40 in a marriage, we realize, oh my God, what is going on?
Yeah, yeah. What it takes is uh, kind of waking up. I'm gonna challenge y'all here, if that's okay. Um, we understand. We understand that you guys are navigating really difficult marriages because your husband is really difficult. Get that. I'm not defending him, not sticking up for him, not going there. Uh, but what I do know in my own personal journey, and what I do know from talking with tons of people, is that it's really easy to blame shift and point to the partner and what they're doing wrong. And it takes a little bit of guts, a little bit of courage to to pause and look within and say, how am I doing? Is my level of reactivity appropriate? Again, if you are a follower of Jesus, it's okay if you're not. I'm not preaching here, but there's a story in an ancient book, I'm just saying, about this guy and his wife that she made a mistake. He followed him in the mistake. And when uh, the Lord called them out, the first thing the guy, Adam, did is he blamed his wife. Blame shifting. Like it started there and it still goes on. So the courageous thing to do, the heroic thing to do, in my opinion, is for each of us to pause our blame shifting for a moment and check inside and say, am I projecting stuff from from my past, whether it's a previous relationship, whether it's from home growing up, am I putting it onto my spouse?
Mm-hmm.
That is courageous. That is heroic. That is the beginning of change
Mm.
because you're looking at the buttons and the levers that you can push and you can pull to create change. Because blame shifting doesn't create change. I tried it. It doesn't work. A bit of an expert in blame shifting, but I've stopped. I've learned to stop. Um, I'm gonna just read a couple of quotes, and feel free to exit whenever you need to.
Yeah, I gotta go.
Yeah,
Have a beautiful day, you beautiful souls. I
yeah,
love you so much. We love you so very much. Love yourself more than ever. And I'll see you next video, next time. Love and light.
yeah. All righty.
Bye.
All right. Take care. Drive safe.
Thank you.
Yeah. Some of you have read uh, Harvell Hendricks, and among the things that he says, I'm just going to read the quote. What we don't resolve in childhood, we reenact in marriage. Ouch. That's a bit of a stinger. But it's true. It's true. That's why our our spouse's small criticism or our small meaningful and appropriate criticism of our spouse can trigger that tsunami, trigger that thing that's like, where did that come from? Sue Johnson, another author I love and respect. Um, when we don't feel heard by our spouse, we're often re-experiencing the pain of not being seen by the people that raised us. So we're still trying to be seen, and 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 when we don't feel seen, when we don't feel heard, in my opinion, that is one of the most painful experiences in any relationship, but particularly in marriage. And for some of us, we just shut down in response to not being seen and heard. Others of us double down in efforts to try and get it, which inevitably leads to conflict. Another author, I'm like giving you a book list here. So Harvell Hendricks, Sue Johnson, and now David Schnarch. I love this guy. He's very profound. He's very deep. He's very awesome. Every marriage is a crucible, a vessel where partners are forced to face unfinished business from their families of origin. The very intimacy we long for is the fire that brings our unresolved issues to the surface. He's really asking us to look in the mirror. Dang. Dang it. It's tough to do. And of course, ideally, both spouses would be looking in the mirror. And sometimes that's the case. Sometimes that's just not the case. What I would add to David Schnartz from a book called The Passionate Marriage, which I recommend, the way I would add it or the way I would spin it is that, again, and I'm not preaching here, but in a Christian view of marriage, the marriage is it's the closest, most intimate relationship that you experience with another human being. And so the marriage is the top um, crucible for 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 you to refine your partner and for your partner to refine you, right? Even kids, even the dog, is does not impact us as much as our partner. And so there's a calling there to understand that you can't control your spouse, and so don't go there. But if you buy into what I'm saying, then you have a high and holy calling to be the one person in this earth to refine your husband and vice versa. And so we invite you to be open to that refining from your spouse and maybe even take your attention less off of what he says and what he does and put your attention more on, so what is the refining process that I'm being invited to enter into here? Okay. So before we finish up here this afternoon, I'm watching the clock here. Um, in this conversation, we're inviting you to sort of to recognize the possibility of baggage, the possibility of luggage that is cumbersome and heavy and getting in the way. The way one author put it is carrying around luggage from your past is like trying to dance holding on to your checked bag. It's like, yeah, you can dance holding on to that bag, but it's really awkward. We've talked about how the old hurts, maybe from a previous relationship, maybe from home growing up, they don't just fade away in reality, but they actually lay dormant and they get activated, popping up when we least expect them, inevitably in arguments and disagreements and conflicts in the marriage, or maybe pop up in just the awkward silence, the roommate uh, vibe in your marriage, right? Where you're craving intimacy, you're suffering from not being seen, not being heard. So in this conversation this afternoon, we can shine a light on that. We can point to it, but obviously we don't. This is not the context to really explore and unearth and heal those things so that you are free, so that you're no longer triggered by your old stuff in the relationship. And and as I have mentioned before, that creates the possibility for your husband to actually become less triggered himself. No guarantees there, but very frequently that's what happens. And so in your own heart and soul, you become that um, that that passenger that just boards the airplane with your personal item, right? No carry-on bag, no checked bag. That's Dominique's fantasy. She says, I would just love to travel, just a purse, just get on the plane and go. And I love that fantasy too. May not be practical, but what is real and what is possible is for your old wounds to be cleared out so that they're not showing up in your marriage. And as I say, there's a real possibility that that will have a collateral effect so that his own wounds are not activated in the relationship. Uh, I don't multitask at all. So I'm just going to put in the chat an invitation here. There you go. Uh, we invite you to book a 15-minute quick start call with us. What will happen in the call is a one-on-one, so we can actually get specific and get uh, concrete about what's going on in your relationship and see if it's possible to transform the relationship for the next years so that your next years can be better than your past years. It's a safe, no pressure conversation where we look at the luggage. It's kind of like TSA at the airport. I'm sorry, that's totally out of line. Uh, Looking at how the baggage is shaping the current relationship, and if is like and explore, is it possible to clear the baggage out? And if it's not, we'll tell you. We'll say, hey, you know what? I don't think we can help you. Um, Maybe because there's too much baggage. In some cases, the outcome of that conversation is, hey, you know what? You're actually doing pretty well. You don't need our help. And we will say that because our mission is we want to help uh, people that want our help, and we can serve them, and we can help, and we can transform. And if there's a thousand other helpers that can do it instead of us, then we'll refer to those thousand other helpers, and we'll save space on our calendar for the tough ones, because we feel that's our calling, is to help the toughest relationships, the relationships where she is at the edge. It's either this works or divorce. That's that's the usual of the people that we live with or work with. So um, there's the link in the chat. We invite you to use the link, book a 15-minute call. We'll respect your time. It's not a sales call. There's nothing for sale in that call, so don't freak. See if you can pick a time that works. I know that today and tomorrow's all booked up, but Thursday, Friday, I think there's times there. Spots are limited because we keep these conversations personal and meaningful and like very specific. So if you feel just a little bit of a tug in this conversation that, hey, maybe what Don and Damaris are doing might make a difference in my relationship so that our next years are better than our past years, grab the link before we sign off here, and set up a call, and maybe we can change your world. I would love that, because you don't have to travel heavy. You don't have to travel heavy. You can you can travel in the next years with just you and just your husband, not the other four people or more, from your past, from his past. All right, we're going to sign off now. Thanks so much for being here. As Dominique says, we love you, and we are proud of you for showing up to learn more, to find out more, to empower and equip yourself to live life to the best of your ability and capacity. All right. So God bless. Take good care, and see you guys in 2 weeks for next time. All right. Bye for now.